Hi, this is Jerry Hubbell, the Assistant Director for the Slade Remote Observatory. I'm here to show you how to start up the observatory and get all the applications running on the desktop. So let's get started. So locate TeamViewer on your desktop and click on it and you'll get this interface, and then if you've already set up the account and the remote control information, so you should be able to go to remote control MSRO on the list and then hit remote control, and then it will authenticate and connect to the MSRO. I like to enlarge the screen to full size and then typically it's going to already be logged in for you. It'll be like this. And if you want to get back to your desktop, you can minimize the window by hitting that and then coming back down here and then going to the MSRO. And then here you can hide the toolbar, but the toolbar has some good things to look at. So there's different things here. The view, you might want to hide the wallpaper, and you can also show the remote cursor if somebody else is controlling the computer that's on there with you. One thing you can do also is transfer files from the system. When you finish your imaging, you can use this tool to open the file transfer window and copy files off the system. I usually use optimized quality value for the quality. I prefer that to speed, and so that's it for the toolbar. And then you can bring the toolbar up and down by clicking that chevron. Alright, so there's a lot of icons here on the desktop, some miscellaneous ones, but the main ones you want to look at are over on the right hand side. And typically the two clocks, the sidereal clock and the real-time clock, will be updated, will be running on the desktop when you log in. There's a couple of things to look at if you're interested. The GPS clock is managed through this program called NMEA time, and you can see the status of the clock. It's locked onto the GPS signal. You can look at the GPS satellites that we're tracking at the moment, and then this is a measured latitude, longitude, and altitude of the observatory. And then this is it. I like looking at this chart. This is the actual control loop that keeps the PC clock updated. And as you can see here on the status page, the accuracy is to within 1 millisecond or so, 1 sigma accuracy. So that's pretty darn good. That's laboratory level of accuracy. And then you can see a real-time update of the time error down here in the green area where the locked section is. All right, that's the GPS clock. So you can just minimize that. And then, so the first thing you're going to do when you come to the observatory, make sure you're going to check the weather. So we've got this nice weather app. We've got a local weather station, but it's not up and running right now. But if you want to look at a broad view of the weather, you can click on this Weather Ninja application, and it'll show you the clear sky chart and a satellite image, and then any thunderstorms that are going on. So you can see here the most recent satellite images, infrared and visible. So that's the infrared. So let's look at the visible. So you go up here and you toggle it with the menu bar up here, and you can see tonight's forecast looks to be very nice. The seeing's not going to be the best, but as far as the transparency and the cloud cover, the darker the better. So this afternoon, right before sundown, is when the clouds are going to go away. So we'll have a good observing night tonight. So you can see the clear area to the west coming this way. And then you can, the lightning strikes are kind of interesting to look at also. And then you can see the jet stream forecast. So this is a very nice application to just get a general feel for what the weather is like. A couple other things it has, it's got a sun and moon information, sunrise, sunset, so you can use that, and then you toggle it by clicking that again. And then you can look at the actual, it'll bring up a weather forecast from the National Weather Service, and you can scroll down and see the location of the forecast. This is where we're located in Wilderness, Virginia, and then you can see the detailed forecast over the next few days. And then there you can see the forecast also, so you can toggle that, and that's about it. It's a very nice application. It's downloadable for free. We can talk about that, where to get it later. So now that we know that the weather is good, we want to start up the system, and the first thing we're going to do is connect our telescope hub to the telescope mount. So that's the POTH right here. So there's two ways to start it. You can go down here to the taskbar to start it, or you can just go to the icon on the right and double click on that, and it'll start the hub. And you can see it shows up down here at the lower left hand corner of the screen. So once that comes up, then you can go ahead and hit connect, and you can see when it connects, the mode it's in track mode automatically, and it's unparked, and the time and dates and the RA and deck and all this stuff is shown on the display. Alright, so now the next thing we want to start is Maxim DL. So you see the icon over on the right here. So we'll click on that and it'll start Maxim. Then you want to go to the Observatory control window. And this is a toggle. These icons are all toggles. It turns these windows off and on. So we've got the Observatory window here, and the first thing you want to do is go ahead and turn on all the equipment. And that reminds me, there's a big important piece to turn on. The cameras are not powered up when we go to the observatory, so the first thing we want to do is make sure which equipment is turned on. And this is what allows us to turn the cameras off and on. So when you come to the observatory, this will be the, when I get done here, this will be the configuration of the observatory when you come here. So all the cameras are off, just like this. The only thing that will be on is the computer dome and the pier equipment. Those are the only two things that will be on. This will typically be taken care of by myself or Myron before you get on. So the state that you'll see on the system should be like this when I get done here. Both cameras on, which is a QHY163, and then the TDM controller also, and then the SBIG 2000 camera. So both those cameras and the TDM controller will be on. Alright. So once you know all the equipment's turned on and powered up, then you can go and start connecting to it. So the first thing we want to connect to is the webcam. We can look at that, you will need to set the first tab under options. Options, video capture filter. This will set the exposure. And what I do is typically set the gain during the gain, and when it gets dark outside, will be up around 80 to 90. During the day, like it is now, I'm going to set it down, and then to get an idea of what the exposure will be, go ahead and click on milliseconds and hit auto, and then let it figure out what the exposure time is, and then turn it off, and that'll fix its exposure time to that. So we'll leave it there. So that'll be good. So as you can see, I'll drag this over here for a moment. Let me drag this window big so you can see the observatory. Alright, so this is the observatory, and you can see the instrument in the middle, and then this camera faces north, basically northeast a little bit, and when the telescope is parked like it is now, it's pointing north. So that's where the north celestial pole is, where the telescope is pointing right now. This gives you a good view of the scope, how it's moving. At night, you'll be able to see it moving inside the observatory, and the dome will be open. So that's the view from the webcam. I'm going to make this a little smaller right now so we can move it back here out of the way. So go back to Setup tab, and we turn the webcam on. The next thing you're going to turn on is the telescope. It will connect to the hub. See here, the driver selected to the POTH hub, which is here. So then you can go to the telescope tab and see that the telescope the mount is tracking or connected to it, and it's showing the coordinates that we're at right now. Another way to look at where the telescope is pointing is to go to the all sky view on the chart, the little chart that's available with the Maxim DL, and this is where the telescope is pointing right now. That's the North Celestial Pole, and this is all the sky that's available to you to point to right now. You can zoom up on the location, and it will slave it. And when you slave it to the telescope, it will show you where you're pointing at. And as you can see, we're at the North Celestial Pole near Polaris. So once you go back to Setup tab, you've got the telescope set. Then you want to go connect to the focuser. And the focuser is a remotely operated focuser, Moonlight. It's got very accurate position capability. And what this is going to show you, typically when you get on, it's going to be close to the focus position, which in this configuration is right around 10,000. It's give or take a few hundred counts, depending on the filter and everything that you're going to use on the camera. We'll get into that a little bit. So that's the focuser, and then you can move it to an absolute location, or you can bump it, move it in and out by a certain amount, and then all you got to do is just enter the values here, or you can run them up and down like this with the tabs, with the menu tabs, and then the same thing with the absolute position. You can run it up and down that way. I just prefer to enter it manually like this, 9600. And then you can put it back 9800, whatever you'd like to put in there, and then you can hit the move to button. Again, you can do the same thing here, enter a value and hit move in or move out. And then you'll see over here on the left hand side the position of the focuser. This is the temperature right now inside the facility at the focuser. That's in degrees centigrade. Alright, so that's pretty much the focuser. We'll get more into that later. And then the next thing you're going to start is the dome. You're going to connect to the dome. And when you go to the Dome tab, it shows you the park position. This is the park position of the dome. And basically, the camera, when you're looking at the webcam, you can see the dome, the shutter at the top. This is where the opening is. This is showing the top, and that's what's showing here also. So the camera is actually located right here at the lower left-hand corner of the green area. That's where our camera is located, looking up at the dome. So you can see we're pointed towards the northeast. North is up on this diagram. As you can see, the telescope is pointing north. And so we're looking a little bit northeast from the dome. That's the park position. So what you want to do when you go to the dome is you want to open it. So what we'll do is we'll go ahead and open the dome, and you'll see it open. So I hit open, and you can see the shutter coming open. It takes about a half a minute or so, and you'll see as you open the dome, of course, the light starts to come in, and the image will get brighter and brighter, start to wash out. So then you want to go over here and put this on auto, and it'll adjust the exposure time. Go to microseconds and go ahead and hit auto. We'll see how it goes. All right. So it looks like the shutter has completed its open sequence. And we'll look at the Dome tab, and you'll see it shows it's open. The next thing you can do, or we're going to do with the Dome, is we're going to slave it to the scope. So I'll hit that, and you'll notice that the Dome will rotate now over to the opening to point open where the telescope's pointing. So you can see the telescope slewing around, and it'll end up pointing basically directly north. All right. Not slave to the scope. So whenever we move the scope now, it will point to where the scope's pointing so that we can follow the sky with the opening. So we go back to the setup tab. All the items, all the equipment we have, the 4 pieces, the telescope, the focuser, the dome, and the webcam are all connected. We do have the weather station, but it's out of service right now, so we don't want to connect that up. Alright, so now we can see what's going on in the observatory. We've got the mount sitting at the park position, but it's tracking right now. And so the next thing we're going to do is decide, well, we need to figure out how to point something. Okay, we can go here and use this chart to point to objects, and then you can also use the catalog to look up objects. But we have a much better application than that, than the Maxim, which provides basic support for that. But the main chart program we use is called Carte de Ciel, and that's here on the left-hand side. If you double-click on Carte de Ciel, it'll bring up version 4, Carte de Ciel, and this is a very comprehensive star chart that has tons of databases in it, and a lot of other features. So we'll get into that here for a few minutes. So first thing you want to do when you start Cart to Seal is double click on it. You'll go here to this icon that says Connect Telescope, and you'll click on that. And this will connect to the telescope hub, which is already a default setting here. So we'll go ahead and connect to that. And it'll show you the position of the scope, which is the white box here. That's the current camera image size, and then it's got circles. So the white circles and white box is where the telescope is at. The red will show the target location. So and then I'll get into that. So let's go ahead and hide this box, and then I'll zoom out and I'll show you a couple of modes at this. To see the whole sky, we'll zoom out to like 180 degrees, and that'll show the whole sky. But right now we're in equatorial coordinate system, which is centers on the North Celestial Pole. You can see the coordinate system is centered on the North Celestial Pole. I'm going to move to the azimuth. If you look on the left-hand side, you'll see the azimuth alt-az coordinates. So I'll click on that. And then this actually will show our sky horizon around the observatory, which is, you can see when we're pointed at the North Celestial Pole, which is what this little circles are showing. We're pointed at the trees, which we are. These are the trees. This is the tree line looking north. And you can see the azimuth scale down here at the bottom, and we're pointed north. So what you want to do when you first look at the azimuth display, you want to go ahead and center the chart somewhere else. So you're going to right click on the chart area and hit center on, and it will show you more of the sky. And this yellow line is the ecliptic across the sky. And then one thing to keep in mind, if you look, we're pointed north right now, but if you look over on the right hand side, that's the eastern side of the sky, eastern side of the meridian. The meridian is this white line going through the chart right here. The ecliptic is the yellow line. So if you want to slew them out to the right, to the east, you'll point it to the right side of the display right now, and then here to the west is to the left side. And you can look at the coordinate system and tell which side of the sky you'll be pointing at. So let's go ahead and slew the mount to the eastern side of the sky. One of the things also to keep in mind is that on the azimuth coordinate system, the center point is zenith. That's straight up in the sky. So that'll give you some perspective on this view. Alright, so let's go ahead and slew to the eastern side of the sky. I'm going to click on Alpha Geminorum and we'll center it. So that'll center it in the chart, and you can see the perspective of the chart changes around, but the coordinates are still along the side. So we know that we're on the eastern side of the meridian. You can look at the coordinates down below. So let's go ahead and when you want to slew to an object, you'll go up here to the slew button, and let me switch over to the webcam first so you can see the telescope move. I'm going to move it over a little bit. Go back to the chart, and then I'm going to hit the slew button, and you'll see the scope slewed point to the east, which in this view is to the right when you're looking at the webcam. So let me go ahead and hit that. And as you can see, the icon on the chart is moving, and the telescope is moving on the webcam. You can see that process going on. And what will happen is that after it slews to the object, and you can see it's pretty high up in the sky. After it slews to the object, it will stop, and then the dome will move to position the slit so that you have a clear view of the object through the scope. And there goes the dome. So while that's going on, let's go ahead and zoom up on the object that we're pointed at. One of the things that we have to do when you slew initially to the object, you need to go to the telescope tab and reset this track telescope. That'll turn that back on. So it'll be telescope, track telescope, and that'll reposition the red telescope, or center the position of the chart back to where the telescope's pointed at. So that's exactly where we're at right now. So that's how you go to an object. Now, one thing we haven't done yet is start up the camera. So we're interested in taking pictures, so what we need to do is go back to Maxim DL. There's a separate camera control window in Maxim, so that's this icon right here. It's a camera control dialog box. And you'll typically want to do this before it takes about 3 or 4 minutes for the cameras to cool down. They're thermoelectrically cooled cameras. So what you're going to do is you're going to connect to the camera. You have a setup tab. You'll connect to the cameras, and it'll power up. It'll connect to both cameras. They're both powered up. And then give it a few seconds, and then it'll go decide that the coolers are turned off. So what we're going to do is we're going to turn them on. Now, right now in the summertime, we set the set point to minus 10 degrees Celsius. But I'm going to change this for now to show you how to do this. So right now during the day, I'm going to set it to plus 10 so that it doesn't run it runs the coolers at 100% maximum while it's cooling down. But it can't reach, in this hot daytime temperature, can't reach minus 10, so we have to set it to some other value right now in the daytime. But at nighttime, it should reach minus 10 pretty easily. And as you can see, camera 2 is the QHY camera. That's the newer camera. That's on the 80mm scope. The SBIG ST2000 camera is camera 1. That's the older camera. It takes longer to cool down. And it's just going to work its way down. It takes about 5 minutes probably for it to stabilize on the SBIG 2000. The QHY camera cools down pretty quick. As you can see, it's already there at 10 degrees Celsius, down from like 35 degrees Celsius. So those will cool down, and then you'll go the cameras. To control the cameras, you have this exposure control tab, and what you'll do is set this up for some test exposures. But once you have this connected and the cameras are at temperature, that basically completes the setup and the initial startup of the observatory. You can see we're pointed to an object on the display, and the telescope's pointed there, and it works fine. So that completes this startup sequence. You'll see other videos for the shutdown and for other operations of the observatory. Thank you. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.